There is some evidence that the FBI has paid some members in private jobs, such as Best Buy's Geek Squad, to actually dig around into people's computers and look for evidence of criminal activity. So in one particular instance we have on the docket here, it does seem like a pretty gray story, because what it is referring to one instance in court records. Geek Squad technician John Trey Westfall was an FBI informant. He reported he accidentally located on someone's computer an image that essentially amounted to child porn, and ended up notifying his boss, who was also an FBI informant, who alerted a colleague, another FBI informant at Best Buy, and then also the FBI. The image met the definition of child pornography and was tied to a series of illicit pictures known as the Jenny shots, and they seized the hard drive. And then, it goes around in here basically amounting to the FBI did actually, or does continue to have paid informants on their staff, who are also encouraged by monetary reward to maybe do things that aren't really ethical, such as, when we're looking at this, obviously you want to stop child porn. I don't want to see any child trafficking, and I don't think any decent person does. But what he was financially incentivized to dig around this computer and look for this image instead of, he would be legally required to report it if he found it on accident. But what we have here is a violation of privacy. And from that point of view, no, that's not the right thing to do. I also want to note that this was, the image was found in unallocated space, which could lead to a gray area, technically speaking. So it's arguable that a computer's owner doesn't know of its existence, and that it's unable to tell who downloaded this and when, and attribute it to one person or another. It shows the FBI in kind of not the best light.
Well, it's not like they're in the best light now anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise this kind of stuff happens. You hear about it. You hear about it in whispers on the internet, or from people who work in retail that who've done these kinds of things, who've been approached. Like I know a couple of people who've been approached, and so to me this wasn't a surprising story. If you're intelligent about this stuff, and this is unfortunately the ground level to which they're operating from, which is like, what's the base we can go into? Let's hire these people. Let's incentivize them to look through this stuff. Because even last night I went to the Apple store. My 2011 MacBook Pro was once again falling apart, and I took it in. It's the fourth time I've taken it in, and I was upset, and they replaced it with a new one. And they said, do you want us to wipe the disk in front of you or take it in the back and do whatever? Because if we find anything, we have to report. I was like, I have nothing to find, so please take it in the back. But other people, like what we hear in the story, might have unallocated areas where malware or spyware or whatever, when they're looking for whatever, can put an image there, and then they are in trouble for it. Now, I don't know the legality of all this that extensively, but I do know that when you're incentivizing people to go hunting into your stuff, who knows what else they'll find that is your private thing that you didn't wipe or forgot to wipe. Could be images of your wife, could be images of your children, could be any kind of things. Well, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, like, they could take that for themselves and do something really terrible with it, and I think that's what we're arguing here.
Yeah,
and that cannot be the way it works, you know.
You can't, and also it jeopardizes legitimacy of this evidence too. So it's on a whole, this isn't great for the legal process.
Right.
What you want is to, like you said, you don't want to feel like your private info, whether it is, let's say it's not harmful to you, it's still yours. It's still your data, maybe your financial records, maybe your family, what have you. And to have it muddied by this, in this situation, it's not good. This is a clear violation.
Absolutely. And these people, how properly vetted are these people for their own personal issues, mental health issues, what have you, or proclivities? How properly vetted are they before they become informants for the FBI and what have you, and go hunting around with stuff? How can we trust that they're all universally clean people that would never take your information and do something erroneous with it? So to me, there's just a deal with the devil that they're doing in this vain attempt at times to, stop crime or stop terrorism or whatever. But we're just making these really uncomfortable deals and sacrificing our principles all across the board. We talked about in a previous story earlier, Kim. This kind of thing is just like, we're just walking that gray area. We're just in that gray area. We're walking that line, and it will blow up in our face eventually, I think, because we're fallible as human beings.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, it's when you think about private searches, they can be acceptable in some cases, but when you introduce the idea of cash reward and also the FBI, which has its own avenues for collecting information and then also, properly getting warrants and what have you, it does dirty up the whole legal process. And I don't think this is good for anyone on here except for those receiving whatever cash incentive they are getting for whatever follows up afterward. It's like essentially a person who doesn't really care who's out there trying to pad their pockets, and then leading up to, you could argue entrapment, you can definitely argue privacy violation. So this is out there, and like I mentioned, a lot of these members were employees of Best Buy on the Geek Squad. So think about that next time you take your computer in. I guess I hate to end that with that's all I have for you to leave with at this point, which is, this is wrong, and please watch yourself. Audience, what do you think? Please let us know below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.